You never have to leave your house ever. I mean, you actually don't. People can get jobs online. I know people who have jobs online, people who have had their education online. You can do college entirely online. You can even do some high school online entirely. Especially, if you were homeschooled like I was, you never had to leave your house for schooling anyway. So you could just stay in your house the whole time. And for a mega introvert like myself, that's super cool because I hate leaving the house anyway. Well, I hate leaving the indoors, I guess. I am not an outdoors person. I don't like hiking. I don't like being outside in general, I guess. It's not really my thing. It never has been, never will be. But anyway, we're talking about never having to leave your house in a theoretical situation, right? Like not actually never having to leave your house, but what can we do without leaving the house that is only possible through 21st century technology, early 21st century technology, I will add, because we are only 16 years into the 21st century, which is really weird to think about. That it's 16 years into the 21st century. How odd is that? It's just it's bizarre. You can know people who were born in 2000, right? Who are now 16. How weird is that? People were born in 2000, now they're 16 years old. That's just bizarre. I remember people who were born in 2000. I shouldn't remember that. And now they're old enough to drive. That just doesn't seem right. But I guess, the generation before mine said that too, where we're like, man, the kids in 95 are now old enough to drive. Or they said, oh man, the kids born in 1980 are now old enough to drive. I guess it's just a generational thing. But still, the 21st century has been a weird century. It's been moving really, really quickly. And there's a lot that we can do. In fact, it wasn't even that long ago. I think it was 1999 or so. There was a guy who pulled an experiment where he stayed in his house for like a month, or maybe it was even a full year. He spent a really long time inside of his house just doing nothing. And he streamed the whole thing over the internet, which at the time was really novel. Nowadays, everyone streams everything over the internet, especially live stream. Look up twitch.tv sometimes. It's just nothing but live streams of sometimes just pedantic nonsense. Sometimes it's really cool stuff like people beating video games really quickly, which is one of my favorite things to watch, actually. AGDQ, awesome games done quick is one of the fun things that I like to watch on the internet. But that's a whole long nerdy thing we don't need to get into. But no, you can never leave your house. You don't ever have to leave your house. It's kind of amazing, especially if you're like me. So what can we do to help us never leave the house ever? There are a lot of options, and they aren't all national. That's the other thing that I want to talk about. They aren't all national. Because usually when you think about buying something online, you're probably thinking about Amazon, which is fair because Amazon is one of the largest retailers on the internet, if not the largest retailer on the internet. So it makes sense that you would think of Amazon first and foremost. And Amazon offers really good service for a lot of different things. You don't have to leave your house ever. If you exclusively use Amazon, especially if you have a Prime account, you never have to leave your house, which again is going to be the recurring theme this hour. Never leaving your house. There are a lot of different things we can do to help us never have to do that. Amazon is one of the things that almost everyone uses. Almost everyone has ordered something on Amazon at some point. It used to be back in the old days when you ordered something online, you had to order it from a specialty website, right? Like say I wanted books, I would have to order it from some book website, which funnily enough used to be Amazon. Amazon was established back in 1994, believe it or not, exclusively as a bookstore, and it picked up a lot of steam and managed to suffer through the dot-com bubble and come out ahead. So good for Amazon. But it used to be if you wanted to buy, say, brewing equipment, which is something I'm looking at buying here soon. If I wanted to buy equipment for home brewing, I would have to go to a specialty home brewing website and order all of my stuff from that specialty home brewing website. I'd have to buy the growler or the carboy, whichever you want to call it, depending on where you are. I'd have to buy the airlock. I'd have to buy all of the stoppers. I'd have to buy the yeast, probably at a different website. I'd have to buy, if I want to get distilled water, I'd just run down to the store and get that. If I want to buy organic honey, I probably have to buy that online. Not so much here, but in other places. And if I wanted to buy anything else, hops, you can't just go buy hops. You have to order them online, generally speaking. Although some local breweries, and we have a lot of them here, will sell you their hops, which is really cool. But you get the picture. Generally speaking, when you want to buy something online, it used to be you had to order it from a specialty website. Now, with the age of Amazon and eBay, those days are just totally gone. Now you can order anything you ever want just straight from your computer from one website. And there's pluses and negatives, right? There are positives and negatives to that, just like anything. But for the most part, in terms of just our own convenience, it's very positive. There's almost no negatives to it when it comes to convenience. I was talking to my friend at church yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was Sunday. I was talking to my friend at church yesterday, who also happens to be my next door neighbor. So go figure. But he's a very smart guy. He works at a federal facility. Very smart person. He's got a PhD and all that good stuff. And we were talking about how we maximize our income, right? Like we use our money to the most efficient way possible. Like when we spend our money, we spend it as efficiently as absolutely possible, which means minimal spending with basically everything, amenities, clothing, food, especially, which doesn't mean eating badly, by the way. You can spend next to nothing on food and still eat really well. And not unhealthily or unhealthfully either, which is really cool too. But you get the picture. So when we're buying things, oftentimes to save money, if it's something that's really expensive, especially if it's something that's organic that you're buying from a chain anyway, then oftentimes we'll use the Amazon app to scan it, because Amazon's app has a barcode scanner. We'll use that app to scan the barcode on that item that we're frequently buying and then just add it to our Prime subscription on Amazon. So then it just gets shipped to our door every day, which again adds to the convenience factor and potentially the cost factor too. It's not a guarantee that everything you buy online is going to be cheaper than what you'll find in real life, which is why it's good to shop locally anyway, because you're supporting local businesses. And of course, here at Hot News Talk Radio, we are all about local business because local businesses are what actually keep us going. If you hear our advertisements here, you'll notice that a vast majority of them are for local businesses. Why? Because we care about local businesses. We really care about local businesses here. We're all about that. But that doesn't mean that we, or at least I, don't recognize the convenience factor and the cost factor of using some national, some national amenities, I guess, some national services that are only available on a national level, like Amazon is. Now, granted, Amazon provides a lot of local jobs, right? I know tons of people who worked at the fulfillment center. I know tons of people who used to work at the fulfillment center, but that's a whole nother story. Lots of people work there. And so there is an argument for saying that there is a local economy spin to the buying from Amazon thing. It's not entirely there because the money goes to Seattle or wherever Amazon's offshore accounts happen to be, Seychelles or someplace like that. But you get the picture. You know, local people have local jobs because of a national business like Amazon, and that's kind of cool. It's not entirely local, but it's pretty cool anyway. Hey, by the way, Hot News Talk Radio is the exclusive holder, the exclusive carrier, you might say, of Super Bowl 50. That's right, the 50th Super Bowl ever, only on Hot News Talk Radio in this area. Other carriers can't even talk about the Super Bowl. It's all us right here in Chattanooga. You want to hear the Super Bowl on radio? You got to hear it on Hot News Talk Radio. It's the only way. Go to the TuneIn Radio app and you can listen to the Super Bowl there on TuneIn Radio. In fact, fun story. TuneIn Radio is a really good app. I use it for a lot of different stuff. And in fact, you can use it for podcasting too, if you want to do that. But with the TuneIn Radio app, TuneIn has this thing where it's like a subscription service where you pay extra money and you subscribe to TuneIn, whatever they call it. I think it's premium, TuneIn Premium. And you can listen to premium stations, which is carrying stuff like NFL, NBA, NHL. If you watch hockey, all the different sports leagues, there's probably League of Legends on there, which I would love to commentate, by the way. That would be so fun. But you get the picture. You know, you pay extra money for all the different sports channels and what have you, kind of like the zillions of ESPN stations, which I'm not really into sports, so that doesn't mean anything to me. You know, why would I pay extra money for services that I'm really not going to use and not really interested in? But I do want to listen to the Super Bowl because it's sort of like an Americana thing. Everyone watches the Super Bowl, even if they don't like football. Well, how can we watch the Super Bowl even if we don't like football or whatever? Well, you can actually listen to it on TuneIn, believe it or not, without paying anything extra because Hot News Talk Radio is carrying the Super Bowl live. So you can listen to it on TuneIn without paying TuneIn Premium. All you have to do is on game day, go to Hot News Talk Radio on the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone or your tablet or your computer. And guess what? Now you're listening to the Super Bowl live on the air, including halftime, all that good stuff. It's right there, Hot News Talk Radio on TuneIn. And it's the only way to listen to it here in Chattanooga, which means you're helping local businesses when you listen to it, which is amazing. We're so happy to have the Super Bowl. It really actually is one of the coolest things I think ever, is that we're carrying the Super Bowl. It's one of the biggest events in America ever. Really, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to viewership, viewership. When it comes to viewership, the Super Bowl is unbeaten, completely unbeaten. And it's amazing. It's an amazing sports event. It's an amazing entertainment event, too, with a halftime show. It's just amazing all around. And even I, someone who is really not that much into sports, not to say I dislike them, it's just I'm not like a huge sports fan. Even I like the Super Bowl. Even I will watch it. And even I will listen to it here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 on hotnewstalkradio.com. We are the exclusive carrier of Super Bowl 50. So be sure to tune in here Sunday, Hot News Talk Radio, to listen to the Super Bowl live right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. Maybe I can convince some of the guys here to have a Super Bowl party. Maybe we can live stream that on YouTube. That'd be fun. We should do that, actually. That'd be really fun. Maybe do some Periscope stuff with that, too. And one of us, I'm sure, will get horribly maimed and or injured. Probably me, because that's always how it goes with me. I'll fall off of something and break my skull open again. Don't you hate it when that happens? But anyway, back to the topic. And by the way, you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio all the time on the TuneIn Radio app. All you got to do, let's do this together. I've got my smartphone here. You've probably got yours, too. So let's get out our smartphones. And let me go to let me go to my app store. Had to read a message there. Let me go to my app store here real quick. For me, it's the Google Play Store. If you have an iPhone, which you probably do because most people do, it's just going to be your regular app store like you always use. So go to your app store, go to the search feature, and type in TUNEIN. That's TUNEIN, tune in. It's all one word. It's like tune in, like you tune into a radio station. Tune in, all one word. Type that in. Now I'll tap it, and there it is. Hey, TuneIn Radio, radio and music from TuneIn Incorporated. I'm glad they've incorporated, because really, they do need a police force and all that stuff. So when you hit open or install for you, if you haven't installed it already, then it'll take a few seconds. You'll have the app open in no time at all, as long as you have a fast-ish connection. And then you'll be listening to TuneIn Radio. Well, sort of. First, you need to search for what you want to listen to, right? Obviously, you should be listening to Hot News Talk Radio. So when you first start out the TuneIn Radio app, you'll be on the browse screen. And the first thing you'll have is a ad for the Iowa caucuses right now. Say Monday, February the 1st. Yeah. We're all going to watch that, right? And then it has some other ads for music and, crappy radio stations nobody wants to listen to. But you can do the little search thing in the upper right-hand corner. It's just a little search button. It's a magnifying glass symbol, which is funny because a lot of people don't actually know that the search symbol is a magnifying glass. It's just always been the search symbol. We don't know why it looks like that. It just does. But yeah, it's a little magnifying glass. So tap on that and type in Hot News Talk Radio. You'll see our logo. It'll say Hot News Talk Radio. You report, the world decides. It'll be a little red, white, and blue logo there on the left. Tap on that. And then you'll have the thing that says stations, hit the little play button, and boom, there you go. You're listening to Hot News Talk Radio. And actually, the cool thing is, once you hit play, it'll actually automatically start playing. But once you hit play, you can actually put your phone to sleep. Just tap your power button so it goes to sleep. And you can put it in your pocket or put in your headphones when you're jogging or whatever, and you can actually listen to us that way. So it sounds really great on TuneIn. It sounds amazing. I love listening to Hot News Talk Radio on TuneIn just because the sound quality is top notch. It's a 68K stream, which doesn't sound like much, but for voice is totally adequate. And plus, it saves you a lot of bandwidth the way we stream. And that's actually a fun little technical thing. The way we stream on TuneIn actually uses less bandwidth than a lot of other radio stations use, especially music stations, because we're all talk. We don't need to use as much bit rate, which, getting technical. But basically what it means is it saves you money on data the way we stream it. So it's only a 68K stream, which means that it's 68 kilobits per second is what you're listening to. which takes up like no space at all when you're listening to it. You could listen to this for like 24 hours and barely use 100 megs. It's amazing. So you can listen to that on your data connection if you're jogging, if you're out on the go, and it uses up barely any data connection at all. It's amazingly small. So you don't got to worry about, oh, my data plan's been used up, I've hit my limit. You probably don't have to worry about that with TuneIn on your smartphone. I love it. I think it's amazing. It really helps out with just listening to it on the go, because I can't be here all the time. And I get that we all can't be in front of our radios all the time. I mostly am, but we all can't be all the time. That's just the fact of life. But sometimes we want to hear our favorite radio stations. Like, say, maybe you want to hear the David Tulis show from 9 to 11, which is a great show, by the way. Very connected. He just had Cindy Rollins on, and she gave a very good talk about homeschooling and how we should teach boys, which I will have to say, a lot of the methods she was talking about were used on me, which I'm very grateful for. But 9 to 11 is the David Tulis show. 11 to 12, Binary, my show. 12 to 3, we got Colin Cowherd. He is the Rush Limbaugh of sports. He sounds kind of amazing. I really love Colin Cowherd. His delivery and everything is great. 3 to 6 is Sean Hannity. We got Clutch with Keon Rose. He's our local sports guy. You should definitely listen to Clutch. 6 to 7, Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm sure we'll be hearing about the Super Bowl. We got Mike Gallagher, American Now, Ground Zero, and Coast to Coast AM, which is the show that got me into radio in the first place. Coast to Coast AM. 1 to 6 a.m. right here on Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240. We're always here at hotnewstalkradio.com as well. Another app that's really good that we use here at the office all the time that actually would be good if you have a bunch of kids is a push-to-talk service, which would be, it's kind of hard to explain. Imagine like a walkie-talkie on your phone, right? So imagine you've got a walkie-talkie, which actually way back when I was a kid, a lot of us actually did when we were playing in the neighborhood. Our parents would make us carry around walkie-talkies so that they could talk to us and tell us to come home and yell at us whenever the sun went down, and then yell at us for hiding when they were trying to find us, because they wanted to find us so they could drag us home to do boring schoolwork or whatever. So they always had us carry around walkie-talkies. And these days, your kid's going to look lame carrying around a walkie-talkie. Let's face it. I would punch a kid who was wearing a walkie-talkie if we were in the age of smartphones back then. It's just what we did. Kids are brutal. Just like we would probably we'd probably kick somebody in the head if he was ever wearing, like a fanny pack. It's just, you don't do that. So you don't want your kid to look lame. Well, everyone has a smartphone, and probably if you have kids, your kids already have smartphones too. So one thing that you can get is called the Zello app. That's Zello. Zello sounds really good. It uses like no data whatsoever, not no data whatsoever, but it uses barely any data to connect. And it acts just like a walkie-talkie. We use it all the time here at work to talk to each other. It's faster than making a phone call. It's a little bit easier than a text, and it's easier to communicate, because let's face it, when we're texting, there's a lot that doesn't really get carried over emotionally, in terms of what we're trying to carry over, the message we're trying to convey. There's a lot that just doesn't get carried over. When you're talking over Zello, though, it's like a phone call, but shorter. Imagine Twitter for voice, basically, is kind of like how Zello is. So all you have to do is tap on the button on Zello, and you talk into it, and it goes to the other side, and there you go. And as long as you have a data connection, it works. And it uses next to no data connection whatsoever. It's very small. It uses very, very little data. And it sounds really good, actually. The stream sounds good. It acts just as a walkie-talkie, and it's not embarrassing, right? Like, texting is cool, but walkie-talkies are not. So how can we have that happy middle? Well, Zello sounds really good. You can carry over the message that you're trying to get over when you're trying to text, and nobody can understand anybody when they're texting. I can tell you from experience, I never understand anybody when they're texting, which is funny considering that people from the last 20 years, who grew up in the last 20 years, are used to just texting. It's just what we're used to. But there's a lot that gets lost in texting. There's a lot that gets lost in translation, so to speak, which is one of my favorite movies, by the way. There's a lot that gets lost when you're trying to text somebody. So using Zello is easier than a phone call. It's less expensive potentially than a phone call, and you can carry over the message that you would normally have with a phone call without being super embarrassing, where the kid's like, oh, my mom is calling me. Come on, really? Really? You're not playing Mario Kart with us anymore. Your mom is calling? Come on. That's how we were when we were kids. We were brutal. When I was a kid, we were brutal, man. We pulled no punches. We were messed up. We were like, man, I don't even want to get into how we were when we were kids. It was sick. They should have made a documentary about us. We were messed up, man. We were like feral kids. But anyway, This is Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. I'm not a feral child anymore, but you should definitely watch my YouTube stream because I might do something crazy. Go to YouTube and then search for Hot News Talk Radio, and you can watch my Hot News Talk Radio stream there. And most of our live shows here in the studio stream over YouTube. The David Tulis show does. My show does. Any show that's on at the 11 o'clock hour streams on YouTube. And Clutch with Keon Rose will also stream from 6 to 7 on YouTube here at Hot News Talk Radio. So definitely give that a listen. We're going to talk more about never leaving your house here in a few minutes.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
While politicians debate climate change and taking our guns, they leave America vulnerable to disaster. You need to act now to keep your family safe and prepared. Do you have an emergency plan? Do you have long-term storage food? Do you have the skills and mindset to survive a disaster? If not, what are you waiting for? Call P5 Preparedness right now, 423-602-2175. Do you honestly think the government is going to help you? If you do, you are wrong, dead wrong. Don't get caught unprepared. Let the experts at P5 Preparedness get you ready for any emergency or disaster situation. Today, we offer a wide range of classes for the beginner on how to prepare as well as the expert prepper. We stock a wide range of supplies, including long-term storage food, water filtration, outdoor gear, tactical gear, and plate carriers. P5 Preparedness, East Brainerd Road between I-75 and Gun Barrel Road. You will see the Army Deuce and a Half truck, 423-602-2175, 1309 Panorama Drive, Chattanooga, P5Preparedness.com.
What are you going to get your sweetie for Valentine's Day? I'm going to Carter Shooting Supply.
Carter Shooting Supply.
That's right, Carter Shooting Supply. They're having a great sale on all of their guns right now, and it's name brands like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Springfield, their AR-15s. They've got the hottest gun in the land right now, the Sky 9mm. Man, it comes in all the cool colors. If you're an Alabama fan, they've got crimson. If you're a big orange fan, they've got an orange one. You know, all the women are loving the pink one and Tiffany blue. Plus, it has a lifetime warranty replacement. If the gun is stolen, all you need is your police report or receipt, and they'll replace it free. It has a 60-day full money-back guarantee. That's Carter Shooting Supply. They're in Harrison right there at 6210 Highway 58.
Are they online?
Yes, they are. That's cartershootingsupply.com, or give them a call, 423-344-1099. Now, this sale's not going to last too long, so you need to hurry up and get there. And they do have a great indoor shooting facility. You can get your Tennessee handgun carry permit also. That's Carter Shooting Supply, 423-344-1099.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A mother and father were gunned down on East 13th Street Sunday night at about 10:32. Their child appears to be a witness to the crime. He called 911 reporting that his parents had been shot. Police found two individuals on scene. They have both been shot. They were both pronounced dead on scene. The CPD has increased patrols in the area, but still does not have a suspect or a murder weapon. If you have any information regarding this crime, please call 423-698-2525. Two vehicles have been burned at the Jewish Community Center. The FBI has been notified. The Jewish Community Center officials believe that it might just be a random act, but the CPD is treating it as though it is a hate crime. In Rossville, a SWAT team shot and killed a man. A propane company employee says that Jose Allegra, who was 64, fired upon him when he entered his property. The employee called the police. The propane employee called the police. A SWAT team responded. Mr. Allegra holed himself up inside of his house, and after a long standoff, the SWAT team killed him. The GBI is handling the investigation.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine out there through the afternoon. Still on the cool side, highs 48 to 50. Tonight, clear, cold and frosty again overnight, lows near 30. For the weekend, though, beautiful weather on the way, warming up too, with lots of sunshine tomorrow, highs near 62. Let Don City Ski Shop keep you and your family toasty warm all winter long with the largest selection of cold weather clothing around, as well as the area's only ski machine for that big winter trip. That's Don City, East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
11:31 is the time here at Hot News Talk Radio. Hey, what's up? This is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio. We're helping you out with your phone, your computer, your tablet, all that good stuff right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com as well. If you want to listen on the net, you can go to hotnewstalkradio.com and listen to us that way. Go to the TuneIn radio app for your smartphone, and you can listen to us streaming live on your smartphone. That's Hot News Talk Radio on the TuneIn radio app for your smartphone. All you got to do is get on the old smartphone there, open up your app store, and then search for Hot News Talk Radio, and you can actually listen to us streaming live that way over your smartphone. And it gets even better. If you have a Bluetooth radio in your car, which most people do nowadays, you can actually hook up your phone to your radio there, don't you know? And you can actually listen to us streaming live that way over your smartphone, Hot News Talk Radio on your car radio through the radio app. Whew, it gets confusing, doesn't it? Well, most businesses these days have apps. Like, if it used to be, and Eric and I were talking about this not too long ago, but it used to be that businesses always had websites. And I've even recommended before, businesses need to have websites. That still is kind of the case for the most part. But the big thing now is an app. It's like, if you have a business and you don't have an app, what are you even doing? You know, you need an app, or at least some way to get in communication with your customers. And that's just from a business perspective. But from our end, right, like us who are not really involved in business in any sort of way, any sort of meaningful way anyway, for those of us who are just, you know, we buy things. The business people call us consumers. The good business people call us customers. And I call us regular people, because that's what we are. We're just regular Joes and Jills. We just like to buy things. We like to sustain ourselves. We like to buy good food. We're just people who buy things, right? And we want to buy things in the most easy way possible, because when I buy something, I don't want to have to think about it, man. I just want to do it. And I'm going to do it in the easiest way possible. Consumers, to put it in business terms, are going to follow the path of least resistance. It's just like electricity. It's always going to follow the path of least resistance. If you happen to get a hit, which would be a customer, it's going to be following the path of least resistance. Most people, you're going to have exceptions, but most people are just going to do what they're going to do. They're just going to buy something in the easiest possible way, even if it means costing more, potentially, even if it means paying more. Sometimes people will take the more expensive option if it's the easier one, which is also kind of interesting. It's kind of weird how that works. But anyway, quick story, kind of funny story. Annoying story, I guess. I was at McKay's the other day. Really good bookstore, by the way. McKay's is over there on, where are they? They're on Gun Barrel-ish, kind of, near the mall. Anyway, McKay's. Lee Highway, actually, technically, I guess, Lee Highway. McKay's cool bookstore. They don't advertise with us, but they're a cool bookstore anyway. Sorry, guys. But no, I was there the other day, and this lady was there buying, what's the word? I haven't used them in so long. Textbooks. There we go. This lady's buying textbooks, and she's like making a stink about it. Like, she's buying this textbook, and she's berating the poor cashier lady about how, like, oh, there are answers written in, or there are notes in the book, is what she said. I have to go through it all with whiteout. She's trying to haggle the price and all that stuff. That's not how you make yourself a good customer. Right? That's not how you make business people like you. She was really annoying too, because she's going on about how, like, Amazon is going to put you out of business and all this stuff. And I'm standing next to her. I'm thinking, really, lady? Like, you really want to do that? Like, come on. Because you're probably going to come back and buy stuff, and the cashier lady is going to remember you. You know, she's going to be like, oh, there's that woman who's just been a total you-know-what to me. I'm gonna spit in her books or something, like whatever they do. I don't know. What do they do at McKay's if they don't like you? They scratch your CDs or something? I don't know. They've never done it to me because I'm a good customer. And you should be too. Don't, for heaven's sake, don't berate the person who's trying to sell you something, or don't berate the person who is at the checkout, because most of them, they just work there, right? Like, man, I just work here. I'm not management. And even the manager, he's not going to say, oh man, this book has stuff in it, so I'm going to lower the price by $15. Not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. So for heaven's sake, be a good customer. That's just my little rant about that, I guess. It's just drives me nuts because I was raised to be the most polite person on the planet, and when I see someone who's being impolite, that just, man, that just steams me up, man. That just steams me up is what I'm saying. Drives me nuts. But anyway, what we were talking about was ease of purchase, right? Like, how can we buy things the easiest way possible? And most businesses here, there we go. Most businesses in this area have apps, because in Chattanooga, it's a very forward-thinking sort of city. There's a lot going on in Chattanooga. I mean, there's a lot that you probably haven't even heard about in Chattanooga. Like, if you're into drinking, I mean, like beer, then there are tons of breweries here. There are even tons of distilleries here that you probably haven't even heard about. Look up sometime Chattanooga breweries. Look up Tennessee breweries or Tennessee distilleries. I mean, Tennessee, come on. Distilleries are like our game, right? Granted, I'm from Georgia, but still, distilleries are like the game in Tennessee. It's like what people do next to like Virginia and Kentucky, but still, like, man, Tennessee is like the home of the distillery almost. So breweries are soon to follow in that lineup. So you got lots of breweries in Tennessee, especially lots of them in Memphis. Really good stuff out of Memphis. Lots of good stuff out of Nashville. Lots of good stuff in Chattanooga. There's a lot of stuff to be had in Chattanooga. There's a lot of apps to be had too. A lot of businesses have either an app or a website, and both are accessible from your phone, obviously. For instance, you can order coffee locally from local businesses right from your smartphone. You can have it shipped right to your door. Super easy. How cool is that? Because a lot of us, when we buy coffee, especially if you're into really good coffee like I am, because I grind my own and all that stuff, I'm very pretentious when it comes to my coffee. It's like a process for me. Making coffee, it's not just making coffee. It's not just Folgers and hot water, and no, there's calculation, there's precision, there's a lot that goes into making a good cup of joe, man. You can't just like buy Folgers and stick it in there and be like, I guess I make coffee. No, it doesn't. No, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. You have to have good beans and the particular kinds of roasts, and there's all sorts of different pretentious things about it that you have to know, man. You can't just buy pre-made. What are you doing? But it drives me nuts sometimes. So I'm a big coffee nerd, I guess, is what the normies might say. So I have to buy good stuff. And fortunately, there are a lot of other people who are into good coffee here in Chattanooga, which means there are a lot of businesses here locally which sell, guess what, really good coffee here. Like, say, Stone Cup on North Shore. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. There's other stuff downtown too. And there happens to be a few businesses which you can actually order coffee from, as in like bags of unground coffee, like coffee beans that you can buy. And there's a special thing about buying coffee beans that's this is totally out of left field. I'm going to get yelled at for talking about this, but when you buy coffee beans, there's actually an oil on them. You'll notice that when you buy good coffee beans anyway, it has sort of an oil on them. And that's actually really good for you in a lot of different ways. Those oils have a lot of health benefits, which generally it gets filtered out actually when you use a coffee filter. So if you use a French press, you can get a lot of those oils mixed into your coffee, and it actually adds sort of a sweeter taste to your coffee. It's hard to explain, but there is a very noticeable difference when you drink your coffee that way. So if you think that you don't like coffee, you probably just haven't had good coffee. Seriously, that sounds like super pretentious, like the guy who only listens to music on vinyl and he's got a $4,000 sound system that he insists sounds better than your headphones and all that stuff. I know it sounds super pretentious, but seriously, it does make a really big difference. So definitely talk to some of the guys at local coffee shops. They can hook you up with good stuff. It's just all about the quality of it. It really is. It makes a huge, huge difference. But I digress. That's my little spiel about coffee. It's one of those things that I'm very, I don't know, passionate is the right word. I'm just kind of like into. There's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of into. that just doesn't make any sense at all. Like in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't matter that I'm really into. Like I'm into coffee, I'm into movies, I'm a little bit into music. I can't play anything, but I'm into music. And I can tell you about just stupid, obscure bands from Czechoslovakia, but I can't, but I can't remember what's playing top 40 right now. I guess that makes me a hipster. I don't know, but ooh. Speaking of music, by the way, on your smartphone, there are a lot of great ways to listen to music, and some of them are better than others. Let's put it that way. Most people, I'm going to split music into two categories, right? Radio type music and then specific tracks type music, which is kind of a weird distinction, but it's one that you kind of have to make nowadays. When you're listening to music on your phone on Spotify, you can pick out specific songs. You can even pick out specific albums, and you can just listen to them straight through with some ads, which is nice. Spotify is really cool for that. But there's also the whole idea of like curated playlists or playlists put together by computers. Pandora does that and does it well. There's a lot about Pandora that I do like. There's a lot to be said for Pandora, especially if you have a computer that's hooked up to, say, a sound system and you just use it as your music playing computer. A lot of people do that, especially people who have Raspberry Pis will set them up just to listen to music because they're so cheap now, you may as well. And it's so easy. It really is just amazingly easy. So you can just set up Pandora, you hit play, and whatever, it just goes. So there's the distinction to be made there because Pandora doesn't, like, you can't just listen to one song on Pandora. It doesn't work that way. It's Pandora radio. I put radio in quotes. It's Pandora radio because it's not really radio. If it were radio, there'd be a DJ and there'd be cool little promotions and all sorts of neat stuff that goes along with radio that you're just not going to get with Pandora. There's no personality to it, but that's just me saying that because I'm upset about internet radio a little bit. But no, Pandora is really good especially for parties, where if you want to type in just a genre, right? Like I want to type in, what do I listen to at parties? Not shoegaze. What do I listen to at party? Like you want to type in like techno, or you want to listen to house music, right? Or you want to listen to, what do the kids listen to these days? Grindcore? I don't know. You want to listen to, you want to type in Miley Cyrus, you can do that. You want to type in Selena Gomez, you can do that. You want to type in 5 Seconds of Summer, if you're into that for some reason, you can do that. And it just puts a playlist out there, and it's not necessarily going to play that artist when you type in, say, Selena Gomez or whatever. If you type in, say, A Flock of Seagulls, it's not just going to play A Flock of Seagulls. After it's done playing a few songs by A Flock of Seagulls, it'll start doing other 80s new wave music, basically. And it'll sort of do a curated playlist of 80s new wave music that's similar to A Flock of Seagulls, which is actually a really great way to discover new bands that you like. A lot of people, when they listen to music, they listen to music just for a song. I tend to listen to music for a band, which is a different way of doing it, I guess. Some people are different about how they listen to music. Some people will listen to just a song, like they want just the hits, and that's cool. But I tend to go more for like the story of that band, right? Like when I listen to a band, I'm listening to it to get like the story of that band and why they made that music and what it means. I guess sort of, a really pretentious way of listening to music. You can't just listen to it and have fun. No, not with me. It's got to be about, like, there's got to be a whole intricacy to it. It's got to be stupid when you listen to music with me. But Pandora is really good for that. Spotify is also really good for listening to just individual songs. Especially, I found this out, especially if you're like, you thought of just a song that you're trying to remember. This happens to me all the time. You're trying to remember a song, and you finally remember the name of it, but you're not just going to go buy it, or you're not going to go buy the CD. Who does that? You're not going to go on iTunes and buy it. Come on, who does that? But you can go on Spotify, type in the name, hit play, and now you can hear it, and you can sort of get that release because now you're listening to that song that you were trying to remember the name of for an hour yesterday, and then you finally remember that it's, something silly. It's like Magic Carry On by Rose or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, it's that Michael Jackson song that's got that ridiculously catchy beat that you couldn't remember the name of before, but now you remember it's, it's Smooth Criminal or something. So it's really useful for that. And I think Spotify now has, I believe now has all of the Beatles. iTunes does, and Google Play Music does. Google Play Music is another really good option if you're on Android, especially. If you're on Android, I would say forget Pandora, forget Spotify. If you're on Android, really all you need is Google Play Music, and it comes with the phone. So you don't have to worry about, oh, what app do I get? Oh, what do I do? No. You pay one subscription for Google Play Music. It has radio with no ads if you pay for it. You can buy albums from the Google Play Music store, again, without, it's just, you buy it. It's so easy. It just works really well. It's hard to explain. It just works really well. There's a lot to be said for Google Play Music. And the cool thing is, it actually integrates with Google Now. So if you're on your Android phone and you have Google Now running, you can actually use it to listen to music. Like, let's say I want to listen to a particular song. So I say, play Ecstasy of St. Teresa. And it heard me wrong because it never remembers what the heck that band is. Let's see. Okay, Google, play Green Day.
Sure.
And then it goes to, and I have to turn the volume down because I don't want to get a copyright strike on the video, but it'll actually start playing Green Day for me because I have downloaded only turned on. It's playing the albums that I have downloaded, which is actually quite a few, believe it or not. So you can do that with Google Play Music. It's a really nice feature. It's an amazingly nice feature. And you can do this for a lot of different stuff too. Google Now is really useful for a lot of stuff, like, say, directions. Like, let's say I want to go to the nearest gas station. I can go, okay, Google, where's the nearest gas station?
Here are the listings for the nearest gas station within 0.4 miles.
So within 0.4 miles, there are actually three different gas stations, and it gives me the price for the BP, which is $1.50 for regular unleaded. So that means that I can then go to that BP on Hamel Road, I think it is. Yeah, Hamel Road. And I can get my gas there a little bit cheaper than some of the other places. Now, obviously, nothing's going to beat Costco when it comes to price because nothing ever does. But if I don't have a Costco subscription, I can go to the BP, $1.50 for regular unleaded. Can't beat it. You can do this with a lot of other stuff too. Like, say, I want to know where the nearest Walmart is. Okay, Google, where's the nearest Walmart?
Here are the listings for Walmart within 6 miles.
There are actually three on the north side of the river. So there's one in Hickson. There's actually that's a pharmacy. There's two super centers, one in Oak Park, and there's one in Signal Mountain, which I'm not going to drive all the way to Signal Mountain. I'll go to the one in Oak Park if I really have to. There's also a pharmacy on Hickson Pike, oddly enough. So yeah, that's all on North Shore too, or the north side of the river, I guess, North County. So it's really, really useful for just finding out different locations like that. You can even ask it to call different places. Like, say, if you're on the Google Now app and it has access to your phone, and you want the listing for a particular business, you can actually hit it to call. So let's say, okay, Google, where's the nearest pizza place?
Here are the listings for Pizza Place within 2 miles.
Okay, so now it gives me a different list of pizza places. And there's actually quite a few, some local ones too. So if I hit the more places option, I can actually tap on the particular one that I want to go to. Like, say I want to do Jets. Then it has a little option to call. I can actually call them straight from here within the app. And I don't even have to write down the number or anything. I just hit call and it calls the number for me. It's so easy. I can even get directions. I can go to the website straight from the Google Now app. I can hit share and share Jets if I want to. And you can do this with a lot of other businesses as well. It's not just limited to Jets. Like, say, I'm feeling like coffee right now. And that's not even a joke. I actually really want coffee right now. Okay, Google, where's the nearest coffee place? And it gives me a listing. So now I have a bunch of different coffee shops I can go to. And actually, there's quite a few, believe it or not. So I can also do this with other things as well. Like, say, okay, Google, give me a list of local restaurants. Now, notice how I'm talking to it. I'm not talking to it like a computer, right? Like in Star Trek. They talk to the computer in Star Trek like it's a computer. But I can talk to Google Now like it's my secretary. And really, I use Google Now like it is my secretary. And you can use this with Siri as well. It doesn't have to be Google Now. But let's say I want to set an alarm for a particular time or a reminder. Then I can do that from my phone. And it's like having a secretary because I can't afford to hire one. And if I did, it wouldn't do his job very well because that's just my luck. So I can use my phone to do everything I want perfectly without worrying about it messing up. Like, say I need to set a reminder for 11:55. Okay, Google, set a reminder for 11:55 to tease for the TuneIn Radio app.
Okay, do you want to save this?
Yes.
Saving reminder.
There we go. Now it'll remind me at 10:55 or 11:55 to tell you to use the TuneIn Radio app. But actually, maybe I should just tell you about the TuneIn Radio app. The TuneIn Radio app is really good. What you can do with it is you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio and you can listen to the Super Bowl. That's the big secret. You see, on the TuneIn Radio app, normally you have to pay premium, right? You got to pay a premium subscription to listen to the Super Bowl. But here on Hot News Talk Radio, we are the exclusive carrier of the Super Bowl, believe it or not. We, here in Chattanooga, are the exclusive carrier of the Super Bowl. Other radio stations, they can't even talk about the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's how good we are. We are the exclusive carriers of the Super Bowl. We can actually talk about the Super Bowl. We can market the Super Bowl. And if you want to get involved in advertising for the Super Bowl, definitely give us a call here at Hot News Talk Radio. Go to our website. You'll find contact information there if you want to advertise for the Super Bowl, because it's one of the most major events ever in the history of television and in the history of media. Radio is huge with the Super Bowl. TV is huge with the Super Bowl. And guess what? People are wanting food to eat. So if you have a business and you want that business to be the one that Super Bowl fans go to, you definitely want to advertise Hot News Talk Radio. Go to the website. There's contact information there, hotnewstalkradio.com. If you just want to listen to the Super Bowl like a normal person, then all you have to do is get the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone, search for Hot News Talk Radio, and you can listen to the Super Bowl 50, in fact, which I will be doing. Keon, I'm sure, will be giving us great coverage of that from 6 to 7 Hot News Talk Radio. He is our local sports guy, Clutch for Keon Rose. He's on from 6 to 7 p.m., of course, right here, because no one's getting up from 6 to 7 a.m. That's not happening. Only I do that. So you can listen to Clutch for Keon Rose 6 to 7 p.m. right here on Hot News Talk Radio. He runs a great show. He talks about great stuff, and he's actually listenable. I can actually listen to Keon. Because honestly, the thing, because I'm not big into sports. I'm into it, but I'm not big into it. I don't know who these people are, right? Like, I don't know what team this guy plays on. I don't know what his number is. I just know that Michael Jordan was really cool. He was great in Space Jam. I also know that, Wayne Gretzky was a hockey player, and I think that's a cool thing to know. I know that about sports, and that's really all I know about sports, but I'm progressively learning by listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. You should definitely listen to it, even if you're not that big into sports, because he does great presentation. Colin Cowherd also has that skill, 12 to 3. I bet he learned it from Keon. Colin Cowherd is on from 12 to 3. If you're into sports, even if you're not into sports, he's really funny too. Because like someone like me who's into computers and not so much sports, honestly, Colin Cowherd, he needs to change his name, does a really good show. He really does. I can listen to him and I know what I'm listening to, and I feel like I'm being informed about something that I otherwise would know nothing whatsoever about. So if you're into sports, if you're not into sports, definitely listen to Colin Cowherd. He's on from 12 to 3. After him, we got Sean Hannity. He's our favorite neocon. 3 to 6 is Sean Hannity. Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. We got Sean Hannity. Check out our Twitter as well, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Again, get us on the TuneIn Radio app. I'm going to talk about TuneIn again, because you can listen to us not just for the Super Bowl, but you can also listen to Hot News Talk Radio for any other purpose ever. If you go on our YouTube, go to YouTube and then search for Hot News Talk Radio, you can watch our live streams there. And you can watch previously recorded shows. Like, say, you wanted to hear about homeschooling and the best way to homeschool boys. Well, David Tulis just did a show about that from 9 to 11. So if you missed that, you actually didn't miss it, because even if you didn't hear it live, you didn't miss it, because you can always go back and listen to it on the YouTube channel, Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube. You can watch all of our previously recorded shows there, going all the way back like 2 years, I think, on YouTube. Lots of good stuff on there. So Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube is one of the best ways to watch us, because you can actually see what we look like here in the studio. You can see me running around in the background fixing things that are burning down, because that actually did happen one time. And you can see all the good stuff that we got going on Hot News Talk Radio. Again, coming up next after me is Colin Cowherd. He's on from 12 to 3. 3 to 6 is Sean Hannity. 6 to 7 is Clutch of Keon Rose. We got Mike Gallagher. American Outdoorsman, Megan McCain. Ground Zero and Coast to Coast AM, which is actually the show that got me into radio. So the TuneIn Radio app is good for that. To recap, the Amazon app is great for scanning barcodes. If you don't want to have to buy something in person every single time, add it to your Prime subscription, and you can listen to it, or you can have it regularly shipped to your house, which I actually do sometimes with coffee. I've got a particular brand that I have shipped to my door every day. Really amazing stuff. So Hot News Talk Radio, Colin Cowherd's coming up next.